Hey everyone, it's Matt C, and doing another Driven Stories episode. And so I'm driving to work. That's what the background noise is. But I'm just doing the audio because it's pretty distracting to see this jostling around video image. And yeah, and I can hold it better too when I do it this way. So I was hanging out with my wife at the pool, and she was telling me about a story. She's been kind of last few years. She's been rolling through the uh, Pulitzer Prize winning stories for the year, for the past few years, and she was enjoying this latest one. And that sounds like it's a pretty sure bet, I guess. If you're into reading novels, if you're into reading fiction, that's still gonna get you some pretty good stories. And so she'd finished up one about a guy, it's like a Mexican priest who was kind of on the lam, kind of step ahead of the law, because Catholicism was outlawed during a kind of a fascist kind of situation in early 20th century Mexico, and she really liked it. And she was telling me about how she learns a lot about human nature, about people in the world through these novels. So she typically used to like just reading nonfiction, and she got into reading fiction from these Pulitzer Prize stories. And it's kind of funny because we were talking about, like, I'm kind of the opposite. Like, I just kind of grew up reading fiction. And then the last few years or so, I've actually kind of enjoyed nonfiction more. And yeah, so we just thought it was interesting. She was talking about how she learns about other people in the world in which we live through novels. And then I was kind of thinking, trying not to be too, I don't want to be that husband. Hashtag that husband. And say, don't you really mean this? But I was kind of thinking, like, how much do we uh, learn about other people? How much is that really us learning about other people, and how much is that really just learning about the author themselves in a way? Uh, this is kind of, I know on some level, this is really just a, freshman level fine arts major uh, paper topic, but how much is how much are you learning about others, and how much are you learning about the way of one particular author sees others when you're reading a novel? Uh, you know, there's some editorial insight, but pretty much it's just a single pen putting together these characters in this fictional universe in a novel. And yeah, and it's so it's mediated through the single perspective of that author, right? uh, we call all these kinds of ways of conveying stories, we call them, it's media. It's because it's a medium. There's a means by which the story is being conveyed to more than one person at a time. uh, Whether it's, a bunch of pages strapped together and called a book, or it's a DVD or your Netflix subscription, or maybe it's a comic. Maybe it's some noise on your radio, but it's mediated. Well, it's also mediated through the author themselves, right? So it's just something I've been thinking about, because how do you pull off that magic trick, right? How do you uh, teach people about the world and other people, you know, people plural, through the efforts of you yourself as the singular, as a person? Uh, how can you contain those kind of multitudes, sort of thing? And I think uh, the way you pull off that magic trick has a lot. I mean, there's it's going to take probably take my whole life to make driven stories, videos on how you do that. But I think it has a lot to do with how well you can empathize, how well you can put yourself in other people's perspectives mentally, uh, how much you've actually lived, um, and the types of media you. I'm just kind of shotgunning this, so there's a lot. I'm throwing this all out there, and then we're gonna see if one of them in particular needs explanation. But where was I? Like how much life you've lived, I guess, you know, uh, and whether you believe that you can't. There's so many assumptions, and all this kind of has to do. Novels haven't existed forever. I remember I took like a college course in the early modern novel. I know, right? Uh, but it was fun actually. It was neat. I actually read all the books, which isn't something I typically would do in a class, and yeah, I really liked it. And you see like novels really start taking shape in the 1700s, very early 1700s. Like what's that Castaway story, Robinson Crusoe, things of that sort. Um, you know, and then I mean, I guess like biographies were always kind of popular, and then people kind of figured out, what if I wrote a fictional biography? I think that seems to be the line that people would take, and yeah. But I guess as far as the modern novel is concerned, it started coming about, Enlightenment era sort of time, and that takes some, not to get too much in the weeds, but that kind of involves some presuppositions about humanity, who they are, whether or not you can really talk about humanity as a singularity, and you can talk about shared human experiences that can be generalized, that you as the author who has not been cast away on an island for several years can feel through over the course of a story just how that would be. And you're doing research, and maybe you're asking people questions who know more than you, and you're taking, there's things you got to go through, but through you and your talents alone, ultimately, you're putting this story to life, and it's not it's not real. These are kind of fundamentals, but sometimes, I don't know, for some reason we're in a cyclical period in history, in America at least. I think most of the planet thinks we're insane, but in America, we're trying. We've deductively concluded that people can't be. It would be sometimes wrong and immoral, and usually just ignorant and misguided to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes, and to learn, tell a story from a perspective that isn't your own. And that wasn't the Enlightenment perspective, the era of novels, and those great novels are still being written. The Pulitzer prizes are still going out to great novels each year. Novels are not a great American pastime like they used to be. They are for a segment of the culture, but it's not as widespread. Obviously, it's easier to get media from other sources for most people. And to be honest, I'm not really reading novels anymore. But it's I think it's important to, if you're gonna write stories that impact you the way novels have, you're gonna have to think like a novelist, and that means you're gonna have to think like a modernist in a lot of ways. You're gonna have to think that circumstances are indelibly tied to a person's life, but they aren't the person. That humanity is kind of a substance that you have, and that your fictional characters have, and that you can, through your own, uh, the wealth that comes from your life choices and your experiences and the people that you've known, hopefully many different types of people, that you can actually wed the substance of your humanity with the incidents, the the circumstances of a fictional setting, and that you can kind of work through. You can kind of knead uh, a like bread on a table. You can just kind of smush it until it becomes till the yeast is all the way through the dough. You can kind of work out humanity in through your imagination. You can kind of tell a story that wasn't there before, if that makes sense. That's a very modernist take, and if you can do it, and you can, I think, then you've got yourself the mental strength and fortitude to write the sort of compelling stories you want to tell. And if you don't have those modernist assumptions, you're going to tell a very different type of story. Obviously, most of the world is not modern, and most of the world isn't today, and it wasn't in the past. There's, I mean, what is modern really? I mean, it's not like a calendar. It's not a date on a calendar. It's really just a perspective. It's a philosophical assumption about reality, and those things come and go. All of them come and go. But yeah, if novels are a phenomenon of modernism, if you want to write those kind of stories, if you want to write, yeah, I'm not even gonna name novels, but if you want to write stuff like that, or for comics, which is what I'm interested in, you're gonna have to adopt that mindset. So that's kind of my take for today, and yeah, I'll be making more of these as the week goes on. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you later.